Douluo. This is a vibrant planet, with countless humans and soul beasts. In the heart of Douluo star, there is an extremely wide magma space. The magma was rolling and exuding extremely high temperature. At this temperature, I am afraid that the tidal Douluo on the ground would not be able to sustain a breathing time and it would turn into ashes. Inside the rolling red magma, an extremely huge golden body appeared from time to time. On the golden body, the diameter of each scale is extremely shocking. At this moment, the red magma rolled violently, and a huge dragon head suddenly appeared in the magma sea. The dragon head is as big as a house, and the dragon's whiskers hundreds of meters long are like small dragons swimming in the magma. The golden body stretched out, and the giant under the magma was a golden dragon that stretched forever. At the moment when the dragon rolled over, the entire Douluo star began to vibrate. Countless volcanoes ejected hot magma, covering the sky and the earth. The sea roared, forming a tsunami hundreds of meters high and swallowing it towards the only two continents on the planet. The continent shakes, and it seems that it will disintegrate at any time. At this moment, all the creatures on Douluo star trembled in their souls, crawling on the ground. Whether it is an ordinary person, or the extreme Douluo at the top of the pyramid, the soul beast of hundreds of thousands of years, and all kinds of fierce beasts, they all can't help but tremble with fear, feeling as if the end is coming. Angel God, please show your miracles and save your devout believers. In the hall of the elders in Wuhan City, an old and pious voice came out. Great Lord Poseidon, please come to the world and save your billions of people. On Poseidon Island, a plump beautiful woman in palace costume knelt before the altar and prayed devoutly. In the god realm, countless deities with terrifying power immediately felt the senses. In the god realm committee, the clones of the 5 giants of the divine sense projection gathered together, their expressions awe-inspiring the movements that occurred in the Douluo continent. Evil God King said, Sura, you, kindness, and life immediately go to Douluo star, how much can you save? Leave it to us. God Shura is about to go down to the earth to save the world with the kind king and the goddess of life. However, in the next instant, all the disasters on Douluo star vanished in an instant. The sprayed magma disappeared without a trace, the roaring sea was extremely quiet, and the cracked abyss and collapsed houses on the continent were all restored. All lives remain the same as they were at the moment before the disaster. Everything just now was like a passing moment, and it seemed that it had never happened before. No, all this is not an illusion, all the beings on Douluo still remember that kind of soul trembling. The 5 giants of the god realm are also extremely convinced that everything just now absolutely happened. It's just that they don't understand why that kind of world-destroying disaster suddenly disappears out of thin air. Shura Divine Deo, just now the entire Douluo star was close to disintegration, but it was repaired in an instant. What is the cause of this? The 5 giants were shocked like never before, and this power made them feel terrified. The evil king said solemnly, there are too many unknown mysteries in the universe, Shura, this time, please visit the lower realm to find out about the Douluo star incident. Good. In the magma space of the Earth's core, the 10-foot-long golden dragon quickly shrank, and finally turned into a 6 or 7-year-old boy, suspended in the air on the magma sea. The earth elements around surged, and a stone platform with a diameter of 5 meters rose from the magma, and the surface was as smooth as a mirror. The boy fell gently, and fell barefoot on the stone platform smooth as a jade. His entire skin is like white jade glowing with golden light, and his long black hair is draped over his smooth back. His eyebrows are like swords, and his eyes are as deep as a starry sky. Golden lightning flashes from time to time. Although he is only 6 or 7 years old, his appearance is like a natural fit, impeccably perfect. Hey! The little boy exhaled, and the space in front of him instantly shattered in the terrible air current, revealing a dark patch. This planet is still so fragile. The boy murmured, and with a wave of his small hand, the space recovered as before. Feeling a few tyrannical thoughts sweep across the ground, the corners of the boy's mouth slightly raised. After endless sleep, some nice little guys finally appeared. There was a hint of joy in his deep eyes. Finally, human beings were born. It is fun to have a human world. How many years have I been sleeping? The boy closed his eyes in thought, and opened his eyes after a moment. I have spent more than 500 million years in this deep sleep, rounding up, let's just count as 500 million years. 500 million years, once you close your eyes, you just open your eyes. He sighed, his thoughts wandered countless years ago. His name is Aotian, he comes from the earth, and his soul is reborn on this planet, becoming a young dragon. After cultivating endless years, he became the most powerful existence on this planet, ruling many primitive creatures. But he has a human soul, but he is always alone, endless emptiness and loneliness torment him, so he has to choose to sleep. 500 million years later, humans were born on the planet, and Aotianation's lonely heart began to slowly agitate. Then enjoy it. Mysterious fluctuations rippled on the surface of Ao's celestial body, and a piece of clothing similar to the style of Douluo mainland appeared on him. He stepped out and disappeared out of thin air. On the surface, there was no fluctuation in the space, and Aotian's figure appeared. Aotian appeared in Wuhan City, because he found that there were more strong men in this city than in other places. The so-called strong man, in his opinion, is just a slightly stronger ant. Weak, too weak. Aotian kept shaking his head. He looked up at the sky and murmured, when is there another world above? Those divine thoughts come from there. Sensing the intensity of the divine mind that was swept away, Aotian curled his lips, a little disdainful, and most of his interest disappeared at once. Weak, still too weak. Wuhan City is the seat of the Pope Hall of the Wuhan Temple. Although it is not as big as the capitals of the Heaven Do Empire and the Star Luo Empire, the various facilities and strengths are not much better than the capitals of the two empires. At this moment, the enthusiastic shouts rang from the holy mountain in the center of Wuhan City, spreading across the whole Wuhan City in an instant. Long live the Pope, long live, long live! All the people in Wuhan City were all excited, facing the direction of the holy mountain, blushing and shouting with thick necks. Aotian looked up, all the buildings and all the obstacles on the way were empty in his eyes, and his eyes fell on the holy mountain. There is a magnificent hall with a large group of people standing in front of the hall. Headed by was a man in a golden robe, who looked more than 30 years old, was tall and handsome, and his eyes showed a sense of domineering arrogance. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. The man spoke, and the majestic voice spread throughout the Wuhan city. What happened just now is that the angel of our Wuhan temple faith is showing miracles. Don't be afraid, the angel is the most powerful. His divine light shines on the world, so that the world can eliminate disasters and solve all kinds of diseases. The people in the city became more excited, but Aotian couldn't understand this kind of chirping language. His spirit fell on the Pope, breaking through the opponent's mental defense without any hindrance. Search for souls. The Pope is still eloquently brainwashing ordinary people and even soul masters below, completely unaware that his soul has been invaded, and all his own secrets have been exposed under Aotian's eyelids. Douluo continent? Wuhan Hall? Chahiroji? Aotian instantly understood the identity of the Pope, and his memories of hundreds of millions of years were opened. He had read the novel on Douluo continent in his previous life. There was a trace of fluctuation in his star-like eyes, and he actually came to the book world. One book, one world. There really are too many unknown secrets in this world. Even with Aotian's current strength, he still can't understand it. His spirit is strong, and the information he got from Chahiroji's soul is instantly digested by him. Chahiroji want to forcibly occupy Bibidong tonight. Aotian's eyes fell on a beautiful girl standing behind Chahiroji. The girl's face is almost perfect, her eyes are bright, she looks radiant, and she is a little cute and lovely. This is Bibidong when he was young, radiant. Ao Tian's eyes lit up with stars. Bibi Dong of Douluo continent was a regret in his mind when he was reading. Now, he appeared before Bibi Dong suffered tragedy by chance. He thought, he knew what to do. Not far behind Bibi Dong, stood a young man who looked about 20 years old. The young man has an inch head, thick eyebrows, and big eyes, and looks ordinary. His body is straight, but his eyes sometimes show an inferiority complex. Especially when Bibi Dong smiled back at him, the youth would always lower his head unconsciously. He felt that he was very humble, not worthy of Bibi Dong, who was like a fairy. When Bibi Dong turned his head and smiled at the young man, Ao Tian's gaze also fell on the young man. From the memory of Jian Xuanji, Ao Tian knew that this young man was Yu Xiaogang, who later became known as a master. When Bibi Dong looked at Yu Xiaogang, there was a touch of sentiment in his agile eyes, which made Ao Tian very unhappy. The dragons are proud and domineering. They have been dragons for more than 500 million years. This kind of arrogance and dominance have penetrated into Ao Tian's bones. At this time, he has decided to rescue Bibi Dong. In addition to avoiding Bibi Dong being defiled by Chihiroji, Yu Xiaogang's problem has to be solved. Judging from his eyes, Bibi Dong and Yu Xiaogang, one is a high white swan, the other is a humble and weak toad. Yu Xiaogang is not worthy of Bibi Dong at all. Not long after, Chihiroji finished his brainwashing and returned to the Pope's palace. Bibi Dong came to Yu Xiaogang and said happily, "Brother Xiaogang, I heard that you recently developed a theory of the 10-core competitiveness of Wuhan. Can you tell me about it?" Yu Xiaogang looked at the moving girl in front of her, her eyes full of love and deep inferiority. How can the smart Bibi Dong not see Yu Xiaogang's low self-esteem? She smiled and said, "Go to your office, and tell me in detail what your theory is." Before Yu Xiaogang could answer, she had already taken a brisk step towards Yu Xiaogang's office. Yu Xiaogang had no choice but to keep up. In the corner of a figure came out, it was Chihiroji. Watching Bibi Dong and Yu Xiaogang leave, Chihiroji looked gloomy and clenched her fists without restraint. "Yu Xiaogang, you are a waste material, don't want to get involved in Dong. She is mine, her body and her heart should belong to me." At this time, the street where Ao Tian stood was completely congested. The reason for the congestion is him, because he is so handsome. The perfect appearance, the extremely gorgeous brocade clothes, and the lonely temperament exuded, immediately made countless people love. It is human nature to love beauty. Even if this is just a little boy, that kind of beauty cannot be resisted by these people. All men, women, and children, all fall into it. Superficial humans. The corners of Ao Tian's mouth slightly cocked, suddenly making countless people's eyes brighten. There were a few girls and young women who rolled their eyes and fainted with excitement. Ao Tian shook his head helplessly, his body turned into a wisp of blue smoke and disappeared in place. The crowd was waking up like a dream. They were all puzzled. They didn't understand what happened just now. Why did everyone gather together? Ao Tian appeared in Yu Xiaogang's research office. Yu Xiaogang is excitedly telling Bibi Dong about his research results, his proud 10-core competence theories of Wuhan. Bibi Dong sits at the table, with one hand propped on his round chin, listening mesmerized. Ao Tian was standing beside them, the space exuding a kind of fluctuation that Bibi Dong and Yu Xiaogang could not detect, hiding his body. "Holy girl, what is my theory?" Yu Xiaogang looked at Bibi Dong expectantly. Speaking of his theory, his inferiority complex disappeared completely, and the whole person was filled with strong self-confidence. "Xiaogang, you are so talented." Bibi Dong looked admired, and reached out to pull Yu Xiaogang's hand. Yu Xiaogang shrank his hands and stood up immediately in fright. "His Royal Highness, you are so pure and clean, I don't want to dirty your hands." Bibi Dong complained, "Xiaogang, we all understand each other's minds. Your talent is what I admire. Although you have low talent for cultivation, you are the best in my eyes." Yu Xiaogang lowered his head and said nothing. Bibi Dong is like a icy snow lotus in his heart. He really doesn't have the courage to touch or pick it, because he has a low self-esteem and it is difficult to convince himself. Ao Tian on the side of saw this scene, and suddenly became a little annoyed. Bibi Dong would actually like this kind of waste material, and I will cry for this kind of person in the future. It is really worthless. He thought for a while, if Bibi Dong is unfeeling towards Yu Xiaogang, he must start with Yu Xiaogang. Anyway, even if he doesn't make a move, Yu Xiaogang will be driven out of the Wuhan Hall, so it's better to let him push it. He blew a breath at Yu Xiaogang. Yu Xiaogang's drooping head suddenly lifted, his eyes full of aggressiveness, and he looked at Bibi Dong greedily. Yu Xiaogang's eyes were gradually congested, his face flushed, and his breathing was short of breath. Xiaogang, what's wrong with you? Bibi Dong exclaimed. Yu Xiaogang stood upright, his spirit power surged, he tore his shirt roughly, and rushed towards Bibi Dong naked. Bibi Dong, I'm close to you, just want to have with you, I want to get your body now, if you like me, you will get rid of me. Bibi Dong was stunned. Looking at the crazy Yu Xiaogang, she screamed and waved her slender hand forward. At this time, Bibi Dong was already in the realm of the Soul Emperor, much stronger than Yu Xiaogang. The surging soul power came out and hit Yu Xiaogang's chest. Yu Xiaogang spit out a large mouthful of blood, flew out and hit the bookshelf behind. I want you, I want you. Yu Xiaogang got up with difficulty and pounced on Bibi Dong again. The unbelievable expression on Bibi Dong Qiao's face turned into grief. After knocking Yu Xiaogang back into the air again, she ran out with tears in her eyes. Yu Xiaogang withstood Bibi Dong's 2 attacks. Although Bibi Dong didn't kill him, it wasn't something he could bear, even a great spirit master. When Bibi Dong took the second blow, he fainted on the spot. Ao Tian nodded in satisfaction. You reading www.youcanshu.com, he will never let Bibi Dong be sad for Yu Xiaogang all his life like in the book. So, it's better to let Bibi Dong completely give up on Yu Xiaogang now. As for Yu Xiaogang, it's just that Bibi Dong's heart was lost in Bibi's original plot. In Bibi Dong's boudoir, Ao Tian appeared. This pink-decorated room was full of the fragrance of a girl, and Ao Tian took a deep breath, feeling a little restless in his heart. He looked at his body, a little helpless. The 9-turn heavenly dragon art he practiced, every time he breaks through, his body will rejuvenate and become a juvenile state. Now he has just broken through to the 9th rank, and the appearance of a human being is just a child. Just as he was thinking about how to help Bibi Dong, the door was slammed open, Bibi Dong rushed in and threw on the bed, crying sadly. She always thought that Yu Xiaogang was different, but she didn't expect it to be a beast in clothing, approaching her only to get to her body, just like those dirty men. Bibi Dong was heartbroken, lying on the bed and sobbing non-stop. Ao Tian thought for a while and showed up. He turned around, his body transformed into an adult appearance. This is what he looks like when he grows up, and it is also impeccably perfect. Walked gently to the bed, he raised his hand and landed on Bibi Dong's shoulder, patted twice. Bibi Dong looked like a frightened rabbit, his body trembled and turned around. Who are you? She widened her eyes. When she saw Ao Tian's appearance, the vigilance that had just appeared on her face immediately disappeared, staring blankly at the utterly beautiful man in front of her. Ao Tian smiled softly as jade, and said, I'm here to save you. Ao Tian's voice is very gentle, and it has a trace of magnetism, which makes Bibi Dong ears about to become pregnant. He stretched out his hand and stroked Bibi Dong's face, gently wiped away her tears, and smiled, stop crying, you won't be pretty if you cry again. Feeling the hand of a strange man touch his cheek, Bibi Dong suddenly woke up from the temptation of beauty. She blushed, she shrank into the corner of the bed, and looked at the strange man in front of her vigilantly. Who are you? Bibi Dong's voice became colder, the soul power of the Soul Emperor level surged, and a cold light flashed in his hand, and a sharp dagger was added. Ao Tian tried to keep his voice gentle and said, "Trust me, you are about to face danger, and only I can save you." Bibi Dong immediately concluded that the handsome man in front of him had a brain disease. As a saint of the Spirit Hall, she is also in the Pope Hall. There are more than a dozen titled Douluo elders nearby, and there are even more mysterious and powerful worships. Who can hurt her? She didn't feel malicious in Ao Tian's body, otherwise, she would have done it a long time ago. Humph, the Papal Palace is the safest place on Douluo continent. You don't need to worry about my safety. I don't care who you are, and leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, I will call someone. As soon as the words were spoken, Bibi Dong herself was a little surprised. If in the past, a strange man broke into her room, she would definitely do it the first time. But now, she actually chose to let Ao Tian go. Ao Tian was not in a hurry, and smiled, "My name is Ao Tian. When in danger, you just need to call my name and I will appear next to you." After finished speaking, his figure disappeared directly. Bibi Dong was taken aback and climbed out of the bed. She stood where Ao Tian stood just now, her pretty face full of doubts. Is it a teleportation spirit ability? But why is there no spirit power fluctuation in his body? And he hasn't even released his spirit and spirit ring, so how can he use his spirit ability? Bibi Dong is puzzled, such a big person, how can I say nothing is gone? Suddenly, her smooth nose moved, and she couldn't help taking a deep breath. An scent that she had never felt before was sucked into her nasal cavity. At this moment, she has forgotten all her troubles, forgotten the despicable Yu Xiaogang, only happiness in her heart. It took several minutes before she woke up. This is the smell of that man, ba ba ba. Bibi Dong kept spitting out, stomping his feet, and the pretty face involuntarily flew up 2 red clouds. But soon, she couldn't help taking a deep breath. It smells good. She murmured, Ao Tian's peerless face flashed in her mind, and her pretty face turned red. Weird man. Bibi Dong hesitated, walked quickly to the door, opened the door, and looked around. He didn't see Ao Tian's figure, and felt a little disappointed in his heart. What's wrong with me? Bibi Dong rubbed his still hot face with both hands vigorously. Being so troubled by Ao Tian, the sadness in Bibi Dong's heart was immediately washed away a lot. But as soon as she calmed down, Bibi Dong couldn't help but remember the scene where Yu Xiaogang intended to assault her just now. That kind of greedy gaze, can't wait to strip off her clothes, make her heart feel chills. Your Royal Highness! Yu Xiaogang shouted anxiously. Bibi Dong looked up and saw that Yu Xiaogang was stopped outside the palace where she lived. As Yu Xiaogang, it is impossible to enter here. Boom him away. Bibi Dong said coldly. She was a little bit heartbroken, but she was still cruel and ordered the temple guardian to blast Yu Xiaogang away. In the most upscale restaurant in Wuhan City, in the luxurious private room, Ao Tianzheng was eating meat and drinking wine with a face of enjoyment. Since crossing, he has never tasted food again. He still maintains the appearance of a youth, and what he has changed is not a real body, it can be said to be a kind of magical power or dharmakaya. He grabbed the palm of his hand downward, and the gold from the depths of the ground was taken up by him. With the palms spread out, the gold quickly changed its shape, and after a while, a dozen gold soul coins were formed. Eat, drink and have fun, the long life of a dragon should live happily and happily. Ao Tian sighed. After hundreds of millions of years of loneliness, he finally realized a little bit of fun. After eating, he wandered around in Wuhan City, causing serious congestion wherever he passed. Every woman who sees him, the girl is no longer reserved, the young woman is very unrestrained, all blushing and want to get to know him. Ao Tian had no choice but to lower his handsomeness a little bit, so as not to be so stunning. From the afternoon to the evening, he went back to the hotel where he lived and quietly waited for Bibi Dong's help. The information obtained from Chihiroji's soul memory, Chihiroji will use despicable means to occupy Bibi Dong tonight. Ao Tian would naturally not watch such a tragedy happen. As night fell, Ao Tian, who was in a shallow sleep, opened his eyes. He has sensed that Bibi Dong was called into the secret room by Chihiroji. The secret room is just below Chihiroji's room, where he usually retreats for practice. Bibi Dong is not here for the first time. She wondered, "Teacher, it's so late, what can you do to bring me here?" Chihiroji showed a kind smile, hiding his greed deeply under his eyes. "I heard that Yu Xiaogang bullied you today," he asked. Bibi Dong nodded and shook his head again. Kyungsunji sighed and said, "Do you like Yu Xiaogang?" Bibi Dong shook his head and resolutely said, "I don't like him." Chihiro was stunned for a moment. He called Bibi Dong over tonight for two purposes. One is to let Bibi Dong leave Yu Xiaogang, and the other is to get Bibi Dong. Chihiroji smiled and said, "Since you don't like him, it will be easier. I will have someone blast him out of Wuhan City tomorrow and remove him from Wuhan Hall." Bibi Dong was silent for a few seconds before nodding slowly. She was so disappointed in Yu Xiaogang, she didn't want to see that dirty-minded fellow again. What about talent? She only felt nauseous. Bibi Dong looked a little lonely, and said, "Teacher, if there is nothing wrong, then I will go back to practice first." "Don't leave, the teacher has something to say to you." Chihiroji's eyes fell on Bibi Dong's young and moving body, and it gradually became hot. Bibi Dong has felt too much with this kind of gaze since childhood, so he noticed the abnormality in the first place. "Donger, you are not young anymore, it's time to find a man." Chihiroji did not shy away, staring naked at the young and pretty Bibi Dong. He took a few steps closer, took a deep breath, with a look of perverted enjoyment. The deodorant on this beautiful disciple made him so infatuated, just like a catalyst, that suddenly ignited the fire in his heart. "Teacher, what do you mean?" Bibi Dong's heartbeat gradually increased, and he couldn't help taking a few steps back. Chihiro hurriedly approached and said, "The teacher has raised you for so many years and still teaches you to practice. You never thought about how to repay the teacher. Teacher, what do you want to say?" Looking at Chihiroji's increasingly weird face, Bibi Dong couldn't help being a little scared. Chihiro licked his lower lip and said, "Donger, you are so perfect, and only a teacher can be worthy of you. I want you to be my woman and have children for me." Bibi Dong Mei's eyes widened sharply, and she was completely shocked. Chihiroji's greedy smile gradually widened, and he reached behind Bibi Dong in one step, and a hand knife was cut towards the back of Bibi Dong's neck. Qian Suanji's strength had already reached the titled Douluo realm, and it was not at all that Bibi Dong could resist. Even facing Chihiroji's attack, she didn't react. Even if she reacted, all her strength exploded, it was impossible to escape from Chihiroji's clutches. If there were no accidents, Bibi Dong would be knocked unconscious by Chihiroji, brutally defiled by Chihiroji, and then gave birth to a daughter. Bibi Dong felt Chihiroji's attack, and she couldn't dodge this attack. Only panic and despair remained in her heart. How did the teacher who cared for him in the past suddenly turned into a demon? Bibi Dong could not accept this fact. Chihiroji's face became more and more ferocious, and his palms cut the back of Bibi Dong's neck. He is determined to get Bibi Dong's body. Yu Xiaogang's kind of waste material, and a member of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus family, almost abducted Bibi Dong, which made Kyungsunji extremely angry. He didn't want this to happen. He wants Bibi Dong not only because of Bibi Dong's beauty, but also because of Bibi Dong's amazing talent for cultivation. Combining with Bibi Dong, he will surely give birth to an offspring with extraordinary talent. However, when Chihiroji's palm was cut on Bibi Dong's neck, a small golden translucent shield quickly lit up on Bibi Dong's skin. With a bang, Chihiroji's palm bounced high. With this time, Bibi Dong finally reacted and rushed forward quickly, pulling away from Chihiroji. What ability is this? Chihiroji frowned and stared at Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong neither used his soul abilities nor released his soul power. How could something like a shield appear? Chihiroji's eyes fell on the back of Bibi Dong's neck, and the translucent shield glowing with golden light slowly dimmed, and then disappeared. Bibi Dong is also a little dazed. Although she can't see the back, her mental power can feel that something is giving her a blow. Chihiroji has torn away his disguise, and has no intention of hiding it. He grinned and said, "No matter what it is, you can't escape my palm today. Donger, the teacher has always been so kind to you, don't you like the teacher at all?" Bibi Dong shook his head and kept backing away. "Teacher, please let me go. My disciple won't tell you what happened today." "Leave you?" Chihiro Jixime smiled, "Impossible. Today, you can't escape." Bibi Dong has no luck, the exit is behind Chihiroji, she knows the strength of the teacher very well, it is impossible for her to escape. Gradually despairing in her heart, a trace of determination climbed onto her face. "Teacher, thank you for so many years of nurturing, I don't owe you anything in my life, Bibi Dong." Bibi Dong raised his slender jade hand, his hand was surging with soul power, and he patted his smooth forehead with a palm. "That's how you repaid me." Chihiroji sneered, and a terrible aura erupted from him, locking Bibi Dong into focus. This is his angel realm, with extremely strong control ability. Under the angel realm, Bibi Dong completely loses the ability to move, and his body is frozen there. "Since you want to resist, then I can only get you when you are sober. Don't worry, the teacher will be very gentle." Chihiroji has no humanity at this moment, and has completely become a demon. The golden light from the domain illuminates the entire underground secret room, and also illuminates Bibi Dong's desperate face. Watching Chihiroji walk towards her step by step, she couldn't help closing her eyes, tears running down her beautiful cheeks. At this moment, the figure of Ao Tian suddenly appeared in her mind, that handsome and incompetent man. There is another sentence, "When there is danger, you just call my name and I will appear by your side." Bibi Dong subconsciously wanted to call out Ao Tian's name, but when the words came to her lips, she couldn't say anything. That man is so young, can he really save her? Her teacher is a titled Douluo, a powerful titled Douluo with an angel spirit. She feels that the man here is only going to die. She couldn't bear to injure an innocent person, and she was still so handsome. And, how could it be possible to call the name and it would appear? Does he think he is a god? Bibi Dong struggled for a while, but finally did not speak. Just as Chihiroji was about to pounce on Bibi Dong, a sigh echoed in Bibi Dong's ears. "Hey, didn't I tell you, is there a danger to call me? Silly girl." The moment this sound rang, Ao Tian's figure also appeared beside Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong's body was shocked, she opened her eyes unbelievably, and at a glance she saw the fairy face that made her unforgettable. This time, she quickly escaped from the temptation of beauty and reached out to push Ao Tian. "Danger, go!" However, it was too late. "Dead!" Chihiro's furious voice sounded. The sudden appearance of this man made Chihiroji feel a strong threat. He didn't even notice how the other party appeared. And the other person's appearance is actually more handsome than him. It seems that the relationship with Bibi Dong is not simple. How can he accept this? Kyungsunji mobilized all the huge soul power in his body, and patted Ao Tian with a palm. Even if he didn't use his martial spirit and spirit abilities, with his titled Douluo level spirit power, the destructive power would be absolutely terrifying when he slapped him. Ao Tian didn't even look at Chihiroji, and stretched out his hand to hold Bibi Dong's little soft hand. "I'm here, don't be afraid," he whispered. As he said, he waved his hand lightly towards Chihiroji, as if he was driving a fly away. However, Chihiroji's complexion changed drastically, and his scalp was numb by the sudden pressure of terror. He didn't have time to react at all. With a bang, he felt that his face bones were about to break, his teeth spurted out, his head buzzed, and he fell to the ground and passed out. Bibi Dong was stunned. Beautiful eyes widened, her ruddy mouth opened slightly. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com looked cute. She now seems to be only 17 or 18 years old. It is the time of youth and beauty. Ao Tian chuckled lightly, and squeezed Bibi Dong's tender little hand. Bibi Dong reacted, her pretty face turned red with a brush, and she wanted to withdraw her hand, but found that she couldn't get her hand out of Ao Tian's big hand no matter how hard it was. I will take you away. Ao Tian smiled. He didn't care about Chihiroji's life and death, took Bibi Dong, and instantly appeared in the hotel room where he lived. Bibi Dong only felt a flower in front of him, and found that he had arrived in a strange room. Her hand was still held firmly by the strange man. Can you let me go? Bibi Dong blushed, his voice sounded as if mosquitoes, lowered his head, and stared at his toes with uneasy eyes. Okay. Ao Tian said, letting go of Bibi Dong's hand. A slender lady, a gentleman is so beautiful. Ao Tian is no stranger to Bibi Dong, he sympathized and admired this woman in his previous life. Now I have the opportunity to meet Bibi Dong, since I like it in my heart, then pursue it. Bibi Dong glanced at Ao Tian quietly, wondering who this man was. The secret of Ao Tian has already produced a fatal attraction to her. Don't move. Ao Tian said, he looked at Bibi Dong's face intently, and gradually approached. Bibi Dong Feng's heart was beating frantically, like a deer bumping into her wildly. Looking at the face that was getting closer and closer, her long eyelashes trembled, she slowly closed her eyes, and her pretty face lifted slightly. You have a hair on your face. Ao Tian's voice sounded, and then Bibi Dong felt Ao Tian's hand stroking her face. What a shame! Bibi Dong at this time really wanted to find a seam to drill in. Is too ashamed, people just wanted to help get a hair, but she thought, and closed her eyes. What are you doing with your eyes closed? Ao Tian wanted to laugh, but he resisted. Looking at Bibi Dong's red lips, he was very moved. But he understands that this kind of thing can't be rushed, and he has to take his time. Feelings need to be cultivated slowly, and Ao Tian prefers to be natural, and it's a matter of course. He was also a little surprised. He didn't expect his charm to be so great that even Bibi Dong, a proud girl of heaven, would be willing to give kisses. Hearing Ao Tian's words, Bibi Dong was even more shy, his body was trembling slightly, and the white skin all over his body was coated with a layer of pink, which was truly beautiful. What's wrong with me? I am the saint of Wuhan Temple, Bibi Dong, who is unparalleled in talent, how can I meet a strange man? Bibi Dong woke up in shock, broke free of Ao Tian's palm, stepped back, and stared at Ao Tian vigilantly. In one day, after being hurt by the two closest men in his life, Bibi Dong unknowingly hated the men very much. However, he still accidentally fell into the temptation of Ao Tian's mail just now. Who are you? This is the third time Bibi Dong asked Ao Tian's identity. But since Ao Tian had just rescued her, her tone was rather gentle. Ao Tian sat down at the table, flipped the teacup, poured 2 cups of tea, one of which was pushed to Bibi Dong, drink tea. Bibi Dong looked at the tea in front of her, with some hesitation. After seeing Ao Tian drink it, she took a sip. I'm just a passerby who sees uneven roads and helps me. Ao Tian smiled. Bibi Dong didn't believe Ao Tian's words, because the other party had a lot of doubts. Why did you know in advance that I was in danger? She gradually sharpened her eyes, examining the man in front of her. She wondered, could this also be a conspiracy? I have some ability to predict the future. Ao Tiandao. Bibi Dong obviously didn't believe it, and the corners of his mouth raised slightly, and said, then you can predict what is in my heart. Ao Tian smiled brightly, and the fairy-like handsome face immediately attracted Bibi Dong's mind. You must be thinking now, how could there be such a good-looking man in this world? Bibi Dongqiao blushed, and hurriedly retracted her gaze, as if she was really on her mind by Ao Tian. She plucked up the courage and continued to ask, "Then what is your strength? How can you defeat me so easily, and Chihiro-ji?" Ao Tian thought for a while, and said seriously, "My strength should be better than God." Bibi Dong couldn't help rolling his eyes, looking a little cute. She is a little speechless, such a good-looking man actually likes to lie. She knew that there were gods in this world, and that gods were much stronger than the 99th level title Douluo. Even, she has an unknown secret, a secret related to God, so she knows the power of God more clearly. But this guy named Ao Tian in front of him actually said that he was stronger than a god. It was really arrogant. Nian, because Ao Tian saved her, Bibi Dong didn't reveal Ao Tian's big words. In fact, she already had a guess about Ao Tian's strength in her heart. Can shoot the 95th level Chihiro-ji into a coma with one palm, and his strength should be close to the 99th level Peerless Douluo. As for whether he has reached the level of Peerless Douluo, Bibi Dong feels unlikely. After all, Ao Tian looked not much older than her, and possessing the strength close to Peerless Douluo was already very scary. How could it be possible to reach level 99 at a young age? Thinking of this, Bibi Dong suddenly felt that the various auras that had enveloped him for so many years, compared with Ao Tian, were simply dull. She is a genius who has been praised since she was a child, and she has worked extremely hard in her cultivation, and now she is only close to the realm of Soul Sage. However, the guy in front of him is almost at level 99. I really don't know how he cultivated. The news in the Spirit Hall is the best. Why haven't you heard of such a powerful person on Douluo continent before? Bibi Dong thought. What are your plans in the future? Ao Tian asked. Bibi Dong was taken aback for a moment, and fell silent. After a while, she said, Chihiro-ji's beast is no longer my teacher. I always regard him as an elder, respect him, and be filial to him. Unexpectedly, he. At this point, Bibi Dong's eyes reddened. After many years of getting along, she has a very deep feeling for Chihiro-ji, and she has even regarded each other as a father. However, all this collapsed today, making her unbearable. If you want him to die, I will kill him now. Ao Tian said lightly. Killing a pope seemed to him to be a trivial matter. Seeing Ao Tian stand up, Bibi Dong quickly said, Don't. What? He treated you like that, you still miss the old feelings. Ao Tian looked at her. He used to be my teacher after all. He has nurtured me for many years, and he also taught me to practice. You can let him go. Ao Tian looked at Bibi Dong with a little surprise. In his impression, Bibi Dong should be very tough and decisive. But now, some are too kind. But soon, he realized that the reason why Bibi Dong in the book was decisive was because he had experienced too much pain and suffering. Now Bibi Dong, before being hurt by two men today, was still an innocent girl. Ao Tiandao, well, since you broke with him, where are you going? Bibi Dong was stunned. She and Chihiro-ji had a fallout, where else could she go? If Chihiro-ji doesn't want to let her go, with the power of the Wuhan Hall spreading across the mainland, I am afraid that there will be no place for her in this world. Suddenly, her eyes lit up, she looked at Ao Tian and said, Can I follow you? For Ao Tian, this beautiful man, although Bibi Dong has always reminded himself to be vigilant, he still has an inexplicable trust in Ao Tian. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Ao Tian smiled and said, Of course, I will take you to the mainland. Wait a few years, and then you will come back. What shall I do when I come back? Bibi Dong wondered. Come back to be your pope. Ao Tian had a little expectation in his heart. He felt that Bibi Dong who became the pope was the most beautiful Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong shook his head, but I don't really want to be the pope, and why would Chihiro-ji make me the pope? He also has an old father who is already a 99th level peerless Douluo. I, an outsider, became the Pope. Ao Tian affirmed, don't worry, I say you can be, you can be. Let's talk about it then. Bibi Dongdao, she glanced around the room, where is this? This is a hotel in Wuhan City. Then where to sleep tonight? Bibi Dong looked at Ao Tian in a panic, and kept pulling his clothes under the table with his hands. Ao Tian pointed to the big bed and said with a smile, you sleep on it. What about you? Bibi Dong blurted out. Ao Tian shrugged and said, you go to sleep, I don't like sleeping. Inside the Pope's hall, Chihiroji returned to his bedroom. One side of his face was swollen, like a purple-black leather ball, his mouth full of teeth was almost lost, a bite of blood. Come on! He roared vaguely. A beautiful-looking maid walked in tremblingly. Chihiroji's eyes were blood red, and the delicate maid in front of him gradually turned into Bibi Dong's appearance. There was a scream, and the girl was thrown onto the bed. The tearing sound continued, accompanied by a begging for mercy. Tomorrow, will it be so fast? Bibi Dong suddenly felt a little disappointed. She has been with Ao Tian for 16 years, and she already knows the identity of the Ao Tian Long clan, and she still falls in love with Ao Tian hopelessly. Although Ao Tian still looks like a kid now, in her heart, she has always been so tall and stalwart, and she will always rely on her. Ao Tian turned into an adult, holding Bibi Dong in his arms, and comforted, didn't I tell you a long time ago, there will be a son of destiny in Douluo continent. If I don't take action, the future martial arts palace will be destroyed by this destiny son. Bibi Dong snuggled in Ao Tian's arms and said, then you can find him and kill him directly? Why go to school in such a remote place? Ao Tian stroked the hair of the beauty in her arms, just like petting a gentle little cat, and said, I just want to see what the so-called destiny is and what is it capable of. Well, then you have to come back to see me often. Bibi Dong pouted and said coquettishly. This iron-blooded female pope with fierce methods, the pope who once led people to almost destroy the mainland's first sect, Haoshan sect, can only show this kind of young daughter's attitude in front of Ao Tian. Ao Tian lightly kissed the delicate red lips and said, don't worry, no one will forget you if I forget. Bibi Dong's pretty face became hot and flushed. By the way, I sent someone to check and found that Yu Xiaogang was also in the Notting City Soul Master Academy. Bibi Dong said suddenly. Do you remember him? Ao Tian glanced at Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong panicked and hurriedly said, don't get me wrong. After that incident, I gave up on him. I heard that after he was kicked out of the Wuhan Hall, he met another man named Lu Er in the upper reaches of the mainland. Long's girl, when they got married, Yu Xiaogang suddenly learned that Lu Erlong was his cousin, so he abandoned Lu Erlong, who loved him so much, and stayed in Notting City for more than 10 years. I know this. Ao Tian said, if you don't love, then make it clear in person that everyone is still a friend. He doesn't cut off the love relationship with the other party in this way, and keeps avoiding, causing the other party to suffer for more than 10 years, Yu Xiaogang, not as good as a woman. Bibi Dong nodded and said, you are right. I heard that he can't accept the fact that his lover is a cousin, but this kind of thing is not a taboo on the Douluo continent. There are many powerful forces in order to keep the blood of the martial soul pure. There are also some royal families and nobles for their noble bloodlines. As long as they are not brothers and sisters, they will not be too strict in this regard. Poor the woman named Lu Erlong, I heard that she had been searching for Yu Xiao on the Douluo continent for several years. Ao Tiandao, so, Yu Xiaogang is very selfish. He only considers his own feelings. If you really want to love Lu Erlong, you won't make the other party suffer for more than 10 years. He doesn't let go, and he doesn't dare to go. Love, what kind of man? Don't talk about him, you are going to the Notting Soul Master Academy, do you have a spirit? Bibi Dong asked. She has been with Aotian for so many years, and has never seen Aotian release her martial soul. The current soul beast can be transformed into a human in 100,000 years, and the transformed spirit is the original soul beast deity. Although Aotian is an ancient dragon clan, it should be the same. This is simple. Aotian smiled and put Bibi Dong down and stood in front of the bed. The divine power in his body was surging, and a golden dragon was condensed behind him. The dragon was not big, but there were 9 fingers on each paw. A terrifying pressure radiated out, making Bibi Dong's soul tremble. It's too strong. Bibi Dong was speechless and gave Aotian a blank look. If you use such a martial arts spirit to go to a junior spirit master academy, you must not scare the teachers inside. Then make it weaker. Aotian smiled. With his thoughts, the dragon behind him gradually faded, and finally became a little illusory, and the pressure became very weak. Bibi Dong got out of bed and curiously touched the dragon behind Aotian, because it was a little illusory, so the touch was not real. Is this really your martial soul? She curiously asked. Aotian shook his head. I am not a human being, and I don't have a martial spirit. This is just what I condensed with divine power. Said, a spirit ring appeared on him, followed by 2, 3. It didn't take long for him to surround him with 10 spirit rings, and all of them were golden. Bibi Dong's eyes widened and she was shocked. Seeing Bibi Dong's appearance, Aotian couldn't help smiling. This is fake, I can have as much as I want. As he said, the number of spirit rings on Aotian's body skyrocketed, dozens, hundreds. Afterwards, they were too dense to count. Take it away, put it away. Bibi Dong urged. She was stunned by the golden light radiating from the dense soul ring. The two returned to the bed and sat down. By the way, it's been a long time since I saw Zioxiu. Go and see her when you have time. Bibi Dong said. Don't worry, I will bring her back when she celebrates her birthday. Aotian said. Bringing someone back from Tiandu City, for him, it was just a blink of an eye. Qian Rongxiu has been lurking in the Tiandu imperial family for several years. Every birthday, Aotian would bring her back to celebrate her birthday. Bibi Dong suddenly stabbed Aotian and said, that Xiaonazai is also 15 years old. When you brought her back last time, she looked at you a little differently. You said, would she like it too? Fucked on you? She used to treat you as an older brother. As he said, Bibi Dong's lips pouted. She also liked Aotian since she was a girl, so she felt it as soon as Qian Rongxiu showed some signs. Aotian thought it was funny, and pointed his finger on Bibi Dong's lips. You read www.yuyuganshu.com and teased, you can hang a bottle on it. Which girl doesn't have spring? I'm so handsome, it's not surprising that she likes me, you are jealous. NS. Hey, would I be jealous with a little girl? Bibi Dong snorted and said, sleep. The two put on their pajamas and lay together. Aotian recovered his real body, with his head comfortably cushioned on Bibi Dong's chest. Bibi Dong said, when you grow up a little bit, let's do it. Aotian squinted his eyes comfortably like a cat rubbing his head with his head, and gave a soft Early in the morning, a luxurious carriage departed from Wuhan City and drove to the west. Aotian can fly and teleport, but he just likes to ride a carriage and experience human life. He was the only person in the carriage, without any entourage. At the speed of a carriage, it only takes 5 or 6 days to reach Notting City, a small city on the southwestern border of the Tiandu Empire. Aotian knows the plot of Douluo continent, and he has the ability to prevent all things that are bad for Bibi Dong from happening. But he wanted to see what his destiny son Tang San had, and whether he was truly destined. He remembered that when he read the book on Douluo in his previous life, he didn't like Tang San very much. So, I took this opportunity to have an unfair contest with Tang San. The carriage bumped all the way, and on the 5th day, it finally arrived in Notting City. A step earlier than Bai Dong passed the news, and the host of the subhall of Wuhan Hall in Notting City came out to greet him, and respectfully received Ao Tian into the subhall. Because of Bibi Dong's orders, Ao Tian, who seems to be only 6 or 7 years old, has become the speaker of the Wuhan branch of Notting City. In the Notting City branch hall, inside the hall master's office, Ao Tian leaned back on the comfortable office chair of the palace master, looking at a beautiful plump woman who stood respectfully across from the desk. This woman is the head of the Notting City branch hall. She looks about 40 years old. She wears a pair of black framed eyes on her face and a tight-fitting professional suit. She looks very smart and capable. She poured a cup of tea for Ao Tian, and then drew a Wuhan Awakening certificate and a notification letter from Notting College from the table, saying, "Master Ao, this is a certificate issued to you by the Notting City branch hall." Ao Tian looked calm and nodded slightly. He first looked at the Wuhan Awakening proof, with his name written on it. The Wuhan was a golden dragon, was born with soul power, and his identity was a child from Shangshui village near Notting City. This martial soul type and innate soul power are both what he requires. Although he doesn't like high profile, but he doesn't like being too low-key. In his opinion, the 10th level of innate soul power is just right. As for the identity, it was faked. Otherwise, it would be unreasonable for him to come to this place to go to school as a genius in Wuhan Hall. To go to the Notting City Junior Soul Master Academy to study, you first need the Awakening Certificate of the Notting City Wuhan Branch Hall. Ao Tian has this certificate, coupled with the admission notice, can successfully enter the Notting Junior Soul Master Academy. While Ao Tian looked at the information, the middle-aged woman was also looking at Ao Tian. She was very surprised. Although the little boy in front of her looked only 6 or 7 years old, sitting there made her heart seem to be pressed by a heavy mountain. Originally, she wanted to coax Ao Tian as an ordinary child, but the pressure Ao Tian gave her invisibly forced her to dispel this idea. It's worthy of being a genius from the Pope's palace, this kind of tolerance, even my soul sect can't match it. The woman secretly said in her heart. She decided that she must have a good relationship with Ao Tian, and maybe she will be able to make a big splash in the future. Ao Tian put down the information and said, "There is Palace Master Lao Li, now arrange a room for me to rest." Young Master Ao is polite. "His Majesty the Pope has already ordered that I will meet your needs if you have any." The female palace master said quickly, "Please follow me." Ao Tian, a short stature, is behind Li Dianzu, his height is only as high as the other's s. This scene immediately attracted the attention of countless deacons in the branch hall. Although the Wuhan branch of Notting City is very small, there are more than a dozen deacons. These people saw the palace master solemnly picking Ao Tian back, and they didn't know who Ao Tian was. They were very curious. Li Dianzu suddenly paused, waved to the crowd, and shouted, "Sissy, come here." "Oh." A girl responded and walked quickly towards Ao Tian. She looks like she is about 20 years old, tall and hot. She swells the uniform of the Wuhan Hall, and her every move attracts the scorching eyes of many male deacons. "This is Sissy?" The woman who fascinated Su Yun Tao. Ao Tian's gaze also fell on Sissy. Then, he glanced over the male deacons and said in secret, "I don't know which one is Su Yun Tao." Sissy quickly followed Dianzu Li, and looked back at Ao Tian. His gaze stayed on Ao Tian's face, which was difficult to move away for a long time. The look of this little boy is so amazing, she has never seen such a nice little boy. "Hall Master, who is he?" Sissy asked in a low voice. "The genius from the Pope's palace." Li Dian said. Her eyes lit up, and she looked back at Ao Tian deeply again. "The genius from the Pope's palace, that's a big shot. People like Notting City can only stay in this small corner for the rest of their lives, but if they can climb the genius of the Pope's palace." Thinking of this, she couldn't help but gratefully glanced at the Lord. After a while, a few people came to a cleaned-up room. "Master Ao, Nodding College will only start tomorrow. You can rest here tonight. Ao Tian nodded and said, go down. Li Dianzu said, Master Ao, this is the Sisi girl from our Nodding City branch hall. You can find her if you have any needs. Looked at Sisi again and said, Sisi, Master Ao will take care of you. Smiled slightly, with a look of excitement, and said, don't worry, I will take care of young Master Ao. Said, she touched Ao Tian's head with her hand, and said gently, little brother, you look so beautiful. Li Dianzu was startled and wanted to stop, but it was too late. Ao Tian raised his head, looked at the woman who was nearly 1.8 meters tall, and snorted coldly. The temperature in the entire room dropped sharply, and a terrible chill invaded the two women's bodies, penetrated into their bones and souls. They found that they couldn't move, and they couldn't help but feel a big fear in their hearts. It is as if a fierce dragon is staring at them, and it will tear them to pieces in the next moment. The tigers cannot be touched, and the dragon's head cannot be touched either. The chill only lasted for half a minute, but the two women were almost unable to support them, and they were about to fall into a coma. Only then did Ao Tian withdraw his murderous aura. Hey, hey! The two women fell softly to the ground, gasping for breath, looking at Ao Tian in shock, as if they were looking at a demon. Do you like Su Yun Tao? Ao Tian glanced at him. Sisi doesn't know why Ao Tian would ask such a question. Just when she was considering how to answer, her mouth opened uncontrollably. No, I don't like him. That guy is pursuing me desperately. I think he has some value, so I kept hanging him. Otherwise, I would have refused him. You can go now. Ao Tian said. The two women only felt their bodies loose, only to realize that their clothes had been soaked in cold sweat. Li Dianzu's soul sect cultivation base, barely stood up, his feet still a little soft. She pulled up Sisi and said with a strong smile, Master Ao, take a rest, we won't bother you. By the way, Su Yun Tao is very good, let him send me to Nodding College tomorrow to sign up. Ao Tian said. Li Dianzu was surprised, but still smiled and said, okay, I will arrange it. The two girls left, and Ao Tian sat down. The reason why he called Su Yun Tao to send him there was because he had a little sympathy for Su Yun Tao. Whether he was reading in his previous life or now, he felt that this young man was not easy. Because of his roll call this time, Su Yun Tao's position in the Nyachin Wuhan Hall should have improved a lot. The feeling of going to school, I really miss it. The Lord, that kid. Shut up. Li Dianzu whispered, that's an adult from the Pope's palace. Remember, you must not offend him in the future and call him young Master Ao, or an adult. She pulled Sisi and walked away quickly, and after leaving Ao Tian's room, she noticeably relaxed. The strength of that adult is definitely much stronger than me. Li Dianzu said, his face full of shock. How is it possible? He is so young. Sisi exclaimed. Nothing is impossible. Li Dianzu said coldly, do you know that your stupid behavior just now almost killed us both? Simple cold sweat came out again, and I was afraid for a while. Hall Master, I know it was wrong. Sisi lowered her head. It's fine if you know what you're wrong. You should inform Su Yun Tao and ask him to take Master Ao to Nodding College tomorrow morning, or I will tell him in person. You go back first, and remember, don't talk too much about Master Ao's identity. After finishing speaking, Li Dianzu left in a hurry. Su Yun Tao. Sisi instantly felt that Su Yun Tao, who was around her all day, was so handsome. The next day, early morning. When Ao Tian walked out of the room, Su Yun Tao was already waiting respectfully at the door. Good morning, Master Ao. Su Yun Tao shouted. Ao Tian nodded slightly, and said yet. He looked at the young man in front of him. He seemed to be in his 20s, about 1.8 meters tall, strong and handsome in appearance. Are you Su Yun Tao? Ao Tian asked, his tone as if the superior was asking the subordinate. Su Yun Tao was already mentally prepared, and replied respectfully, yes, Master Ao. Last night, Li Dianzu personally found Su Yun Tao and asked him to take a great figure from the Pope's palace to Notting College today. Moreover, Li Dianzu also speculated that the true age of this young man might not be 6 years old, and his strength is even more unfathomable, so Su Yun Tao must not offend young man Ao. Therefore, Su Yun Tao did not dare to relax in the face of Ao Tian, and behaved very respectfully. Master Ao, I will take you to have breakfast first, and then go to Notting College, please here. Good. After breakfast, Su Yun Tao called a carriage and drove for Ao Tian in the direction of Notting Junior Soul Master Academy. Su Yun Tao, I heard you are pursuing Sisi. Ao Tian's words came from the carriage. Su Yun Tao hesitated for a moment, and said, yes. He didn't know why Ao Gongzi asked this question, but he answered honestly. This is no secret, everyone in the Notting City branch hall knows it. I asked Sisi last night, she doesn't like you, but thinks you have some value, so she didn't refuse you for the time being. Master Ao, are you kidding me? Su Yun Tao smiled, his face a little ugly. Li Dianzu was also there last night, you can ask her if you don't believe me. The smile on Su Yun Tao's face disappeared, and he fell silent, his chest was very tight and uncomfortable. A small white hand stretched out from the carriage, and on the palm was a white bead the size of a thumb. This is the spiritual energy bead, you bring it by your side, and you will increase your cultivation speed when you practice. With your aptitude, it will be very difficult to break through to the soul sovereign in this life. With this bead, you can become at least 50 plus. Soul King. Su Yun Tao was shocked, and hurriedly said, Master Ao, this can't be done, I can't ask for such a valuable thing. Said, he pushed Ao Tian's hand back, but his eyes were nostalgic for this spiritual bead. Take it. Ao Tian ordered. Su Yun Tao involuntarily opened his hand, and the beads fell on his palm. This is my reward for you, as a reward for you to send me to Notting College. With it, you will no longer have to be blinded by others in the Wuhan Hall in the future. You have a chance to become the head of the sub-temple, and even more. High-level sub-temples are possible. Su Yun Tao squeezed the spiritual energy beads, took a deep breath, suppressed the excitement in his heart, and said gratefully, Thank you, Master Ao, what is your need in the future? Don't hesitate. Ao Tian said, he also thought that Su Yun Tao was good, so he gave a small reward. The place where he used to sleep is the most aura on this planet. The aura beads are insignificant to him. Some women are not very capable but have great ambitions. You can do it yourself. Ao Tian said again. Master Ao, I understand. Su Yun Tao replied. The two did not speak any more. After half an hour, they finally came to the gate of Notting College. Master Ao, we are here. Su Yun Tao said, got out of the car, and opened the curtain. Ao Tian got out of the car. The gate of Notting College is quite atmospheric, with a width of 20 meters and a height of more than 10 meters. The arches are all made of hard rock. Right above the arch, there are 4 characters Notting College. Below the arch, there are 2 iron doors, and a young man is sitting in the corner on one side of the door dozing off. Let's go in. Su Yun Tao said. Ao Tian nodded, and followed Su Yun Tao forward. Was walking a few steps, suddenly his heart moved, and said, Su Yun Tao, I can go in by myself, you can go back to the Martial Soul Palace, if you need anything, I will find you. Su Yun Tao stopped and turned around and said, Master Ao, I graduated here before, and I am still an excellent student here. Many teachers have a good relationship with me. I can say hello to you. No need. Ao Tian raised his hand to stop, I can go in alone, you can go back. Well, if you need help in the future, you must come to me so that I can repay your great favor. Su Yun Tao said seriously. Ao Tian waved his hands a few times and said, "Go, go." Su Yun Tao did not stop, and left Notting College in a carriage. Ao Tian did not enter Notting College immediately, but stood on the edge of the open space in front of the college gate, looking at one end of the street outside. There, two figures, one old and one young, are coming here. Ao Tian heard their conversation just now, so he let Su Yun Tao leave first. The old and the young, with white hair and snow-white beard, holding a cane and wearing brand new clothes, are in good spirits. The small person looks about 6 years old, his body is thin, his complexion is a little sallow, but his eyes are extremely energetic, and his footing is extremely calm while traveling. Compared to the old man, the clothes on this child are poorer, washed almost white, and there are several large patches on them. The child's eyesight is very good, and he saw the 4 characters of Notting College a few hundred meters away. These two people are the old Jack and Tang San from Shengun village. Can see the protagonist in the original work, how could Ao Tian miss it? He stood in an inconspicuous place on the edge, looking at Tang San. He knew that after a while, there would be a show. "Grandpa Jack, we are here. Notting College is in front of you." Tang San pointed to Notting College and said. "Oh, you reading www.yuyugonshu.com? It's finally here." Old Jack laughed. After a while, Tang San and Old Jack came to the gate of Notting College, but they were stopped by the young man at the gate. The young man saw how Old Jack looked like a hillbilly. He felt like a bully, so he wanted to make some money. Old Jack, a simple countryman, how can he understand the deep routines in the city? Especially the young man still satirizes the Holy Soul village with a weird yin and yang, and the old Jack became angry all at once. The young man was also aroused by the ignorance of the old Jack, and reached out to push the old Jack. At this time, Tang San made a strong move. Tang San was a disciple of the outer sect of Tang sect in his previous life. Because he liked it, he stole a variety of unparalleled skills in the inner sect. Each of them belonged to the top martial arts. The tall young man was thrown into the air by Tang San, who was only 6 years old. "Smelly boy, you are looking for death." The young man was furious, and was pushed down by a little bit. His face and dignity were lost. He got up from the ground and rushed towards Tang San. The anger had already dazzled his head. He wanted to teach Tang San a profound lesson. Tang San's eyes gradually became cold, his left hand was slightly raised, and the safety of the silent Shijian hidden in his sleeve had been opened. As long as the muscles on his arms move slightly, the youth's throat will have a short arrow. In Tang San's eyes, with this young man's mean temper, coupled with his disrespect to old Jack, what a cruel boy! Ao Tian said secretly. He watched this scene with a smile, and already had a preliminary understanding of Tang San in his heart.